What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another episode of the Smark Moment Smack Talk podcast. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango. Joining me, as always, are Callum Wiggins.
I'm the biggest babyface on this channel.
And Robert DeFelice.
You know that's not true. I'm clearly the nicest of the three of us.
Well, we are not talking baby faces here. We are talking heels. And
Yeah, because you're the heel, Tony.
Yeah,
you're definitely the dick.
Fuck all of you.
All
there
you
goes
people in
my
the comment section.
there goes my monetization, because it always asks me if I say the F word in the first 30 seconds. Well, actually, that might have been 29 or something. I don't know. I'll take an extra 2 seconds of blank. No, I have the intro. So there you go. I'm saved by like 5 seconds. So fuckity fuck.
All those cunts monitoring YouTube.
Yeah, getting that heat. Yeah, look at you with your community guidelines and rules. Submitting ratings, another crap.
They have the right to censor, but YouTube instead.
Now I'm just going to have the right to censor theme play. Nah, I'm not going to go through that and put you people through that. I'm not that mean. Instead, we're going to talk about the 2021, the inaugural first, whatever you want to call it, the Heat of the Moment tournament. This is something that we've been doing over the past couple of weeks on smarkoutmoment.com, obviously, because this is Smark Out Moment, so that's why we're doing it there. And if you've been following it, this tournament is about heat, because it's the summer, and it's hot. There's like 105 out in some places recently. That's just, no. That sucks. Don't do that. God, or whatever. But the heat aspect of pro wrestling, of course, is, you know, whether you got the fans going crazy and everything, and since heel heat is the most, you know, synonymous with that kind of term, we figured that that's where we would start. And the target for this whole tournament was basically who's the best heel right now. And I wanted to do something a little bit differently that we haven't done with other tournaments. So I wanted to make one side of it AEW and one side of it WWE, so that way we could determine the best heel in both of those companies and then pit them against each other to determine the best heel in the crossover side of things. So that's what we did. That's what we're going to be talking about here. And obviously you can't vote anymore, so I can't tell you, go ahead and cast your votes. I already just, right before we got started, clicked off the idea, so you can't do any more responses. But if you missed out on voting on this, well, pay attention to the website, because these things happen. It's not just on the podcast side of things. You know, we do some stuff here and there just purely on there. I've been telling people about this on the Mega Maniacs and everything, and we've got other tournaments coming up. The Champsgiving tournament over the course of around Thanksgiving will happen. We got Smark Madness coming up in March. So you'll be able to, you know, kind of keep things going like that. But we are going to run down the entire tournament here and kind of break down how things played out, whether or not we agree or disagree with some of the votes and all the good stuff that goes along with that. I'm going to, was it easier for you guys if I share my screen or if I send you all the rounds and decide that ahead of time?
I'm certain that, yeah, you could just send us the rounds.
All right, so you're going to hear me doing some clickety-clicks right here while we talk about some other kind of stuff ahead of time. So just to remind everybody, leave your comments below. Tell us your thoughts on all the ways that this planned out. And, you know, if you agree or disagree with some of those things, chime in. You know, tell us why. Who you would have voted for if it would have gone things differently or anything like that. While you're doing that, and you're talking it up on YouTube in particular, hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already subscribed to the channel. Ring that little notification bell as well, so you know when we go live for things or when things get posted on the channel. If you want to hit the applause button, that's great. Gives us a little bit of a tip. There's the join button as well. Apparently you can't see that on iOS. That's really strange. But Guest 5 brought that up. Rob double checked it for me, and I don't know why that's the thing. So if you check on like the desktop settings, or maybe you go on some other kind of things, the join button is basically the members only content. That's the same as the Patreon. If you got the spare change and you want to help us grow and you want to help us keep doing this going forward, that's the best way to make sure that that happens, because, you know, money talks and time is money. So the more that we've got, the more time we can invest in this. And you can specifically make sure things happen with the Pick Your Poison tier, so keep that in mind as well. But we're going to get things rolling here, and we're going to talk about how the qualifying round played out with this. And that was something that we had settled on a little bit ahead of time. We kind of talked things out, kind of discussed with among ourselves, among some other people, to just sort of settle on who could be even in the running for the qualifying round. Looking at that, I'm not too shocked about too many things. I don't really think a whole lot of people that should have gotten through didn't, or vice versa. The only things that I could really say are shockers for me on the qualifying rounds are, I'm surprised that there weren't more votes for The Miz and John Morrison or for Sami Zayn. Because I would have thought that Sami Zayn would have been a little bit higher up on the list there.
Well, I think they're both comedy acts, and because of that, they're kind of beloved. So people don't look at them as, oh, they're really top heels.
Yeah, there's a big difference between Sami Zayn and, like, Seth Rollins. I could get that.
I think that would apply to especially Sami Zayn's case. I think The Miz and Morrison, it's more just a case of really don't want those guys involved in any of this stuff because their act at the moment sucks.
Well, they only got 2 less votes than AJ Styles and Omos.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't consider them high-ranking ones either. It's just, again, there are some clear like top-level heels in WWE, but it's like really, it's not like that's super. That if those are the ones that are getting the highest ones, then it's probably, I don't know whether it's real heat or it's whether it's just a case of like, yeah, I just don't want these guys on my TV anymore, so I hate them, that type of thing. Honestly, I feel like the one that shocks me the most, and that's just based on the timing of the tournament, Baron Corbin's doing some awesome stuff right now, which is a sentence that I never thought I'd ever actually say on the podcast. But he's doing such good stuff right now, and if this had started like a week or so ago, then I would really push him up highly as a favourite for this.
You know,
mark your words. Mark it down, everybody.
Baron Corbin is getting a lot of those exact words where people are like, "Oh, I think I'm actually into Baron Corbin now." So that's really fun to see.
Everybody's coming around. It took a long time for everybody to agree to me.
Also, I wanted to ask a question about like some of these people that were chosen for the qualifying round, because I don't think I got like super involved in the selection process for this. Why is Alexa Bliss in this?
Because she was a heel.
Because when we started this, I think she was a heel. Yeah.
Yeah. Now she's been feuding with Eva Marie, but at the time she was like picking on Nikki Cross and stuff.
Yeah, I think the last thing that
the last time she picked on Nikki Cross was like January, wasn't it? She teamed with Nikki Cross. She teamed with Nikki Cross most recently.
They were still doing stuff with Rhea. They were still doing stuff with whatever. They were bouncing around. She's still, even at this point, it's not really like a full on babyface in my mind. She's just kind of there, you know.
Mm.
But then again, like I didn't think that she deserved anywhere near. Not to say that she's not great. I love Alexa Bliss, but like I didn't think, as far as heel heat, that she deserved anywhere near as many votes as somebody like Charlotte Flair, and she only got 2 less than Charlotte.
I don't remember when we did the voting for this, but I remember Bliss was definitely threatening the entire division with like, oh yeah, me and Lily are gonna decide to run roughshod over everybody, and it was very like heel heat in a way.
Yeah, some people have definitely changed here and there for the better and the worse. Like Hit Row was on here as full blown heels. Now they're definitely not.
Yeah, you got like Mustafa Ali now is turning babyface. Toni Storm went from NXT as a heel, and now she's a babyface on SmackDown that never appears on the show.
Raquel Gonzalez, more of a babyface at this point, kind of in transitional mode.
Yeah. I've probably got more votes as a heel. Maybe that's just due to the fact that like she's more prominently featured right now than Dakota Kai, when Dakota Kai was the more heelish of the two of them consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dakota only got 3 votes, which is like, okay.
And Diamond Mine might as well not even be there anymore. I wonder how many of these people have been released since this thing started.
Oh, that's a great question.
At least a few. And then there's some people on this list that aren't even real people. There's Kevin Owens. Somebody added that in there. I just wanted to make fun of you. Sorry. A little bit of the heel side of me coming out. 2 people put Sasha Banks down, and at the time she wasn't really anything because she was just missing. So that's why I didn't put her down. Somebody put Kyle Bayer. Who's Kyle Bayer?
Yeah.
Do you not just Google it out of curiosity?
I did, and I couldn't come across anybody. So if you're the person who added the name Kyle Bayer to it, are you Kyle Bayer? Did you add yourself?
I assume like he's like this guy, whoever put it in, is like their mortal enemy is a guy called Kyle Bayer, and it's just
it's like some kid that picked on him or something back in like
fuck that guy.
Elementary school. Just kind of like Kyle Bayer's the guy that cut me off one time. We got into a car accident. Like.
I do appreciate on the AEW side what someone wrote in Cody.
Yeah, somebody wrote Cody in there. Yeah, I thought that was funny. So fuck Kyle Bayer, I guess. I don't know. Had the option. I mean, if Kyle Bayer would have gotten more votes, we would have just been like, I don't know, let's go that guy. But not many crazy things on the AEW side of things. I'm curious how this would have played out if we would have started now and we would have had Max Caster on the list.
We had the Acclaimed on here.
Yeah, but I mean, that it played out differently,
Yeah, I was surprised at how low they scored, really, because they're just like they are a heel out. I know they're a heel out that gets cheered, so maybe that has parts playing it as well.
I think they're a heel act that's mostly featured on Dark and Dark Elevation.
That's true.
So a lot of people didn't get to see them as much.
Yeah, you'd add Joey Janela to this list now.
Yeah. Is he a heel?
He turned on Dark Elevation.
Okay, so I haven't been able to watch Dark and Dark Elevation the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, but all the rest of them seem like they're pretty much consistent right now. I don't think any of them have turned. I mean, Team Taz, as long as now it's like Team Taz without Brian Cage, but yeah.
So we ended up with the bracket playing out with the seeding the way that it was, and we had some triple threat matches because at that point things were tied, and I figured, you know what, triple threats are interesting. Instead of me just waiting for another person to vote and do the whole thing all over again, or me voting twice, or something that would be like, manipulative to the tournament, I was just like, all right, so MJF against Matt Hardy against Team Taz, like, play it around like that, find out who wins those. And to be perfectly honest, most of these things played out exactly how I would have assumed that they would. Like, MJF beating Matt Hardy and Team Taz. Yep, okay, he had my vote, and he wipes the floor with them. Like, Team Taz gets 4 votes, Matt Hardy gets 11, MJF gets 51. So it's like, yeah, okay. I was surprised, though, that Miro beat out the Young Bucks.
Yeah, I'm not. Miro is a more compelling character right now. The Young Bucks, even though they're douchey, they're still beloved by the majority of people that watch AEW.
Yeah, see, I mean, I'm slightly surprised with it because the Young Bucks come off to me on the show as the more obvious heels of the two of them, just because they're being super douchey with the Elite, and they're coming out with these ridiculous outfits and occasionally moustaches, and they think they can play basketball. And Miro is just like there are fewer compelling characters in wrestling right now than Miro's Redeemer gimmick, and his promos are awesome. But I can't root against Miro because he's just too awesome. Like that's the problem that I have, where I can like boo the Young Bucks in a kayfabe sense, but I just think that Miro's too good to. But I'm happy that he's getting more attention in this regard because his gimmick is awesome and he's doing awesome. So yeah, it's good. It's good to see it being recognized.
So out of this AEW side of the first round, anything standing out to you guys other than
why was Andrade there? That's probably the biggest issue that I have with it.
Andrade at that point had pretty much just came in, but he was definitely a heel. And
I understand.
Remember, we were struggling. You were there, right? We were like struggling to put heels together on AEW.
I understand why he's a heel. I'm more baffled in the case like why he was one of the people that got enough votes to get into this week. I know obviously
because he's Andrade.
Yeah, I know that's more of the issue of like him being a big deal rather than him actually, because he hadn't done anything pretty much.
Yeah, so why make him more so than like Nyla Rose, for instance, or Sean Spears, or
I would have said like the other choice for that one probably would have been I'm trying to see so Andrade there. That's not the reaction I would would go for there. I mean, I would probably say that you would then just, if you would cut Andrade out of it would just leave Matt Hardy and Team Taz, one of them going in one bracket and one of them going into the other. But
yeah, he ended up getting more votes than them, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, no, again, it's weird. It's just, I say it's weird. It's not weird because he's Andrade and so he's a big talking point right now, but that seems a little bit, it just seems like that it's gone more on his name value of where he was previously rather than what he's done in AEW so far.
Then again, that's a trend that we've seen with the tournaments, though. Every time we do the champs giving and people vote on who's their favorite instead of who's the favorite as that champion, and so I'm not shocked about that.
I mean, actually nowadays, well, if we were to reset the tournament and start it again, like now, Malachi Black would get more votes than he would probably.
Yeah, for anybody who's wondering, he wasn't in AEW at that point.
Yeah.
But he might have even still been in WWE.
The rest of the stuff, I mean, Omega beat him. That's completely understandable. Omega's been top heel in the company right now. And Britt Baker against FTR, Britt Baker winning. Yeah, that's, again, to be totally expected. It's not like FTR are bad in that regards, but they're kind of components of a heel faction which has a top heel as the leader of it. So they're kind of subsidiary.
Yeah. On the WWE side of things, Roman Reigns has the biggest victory over anybody with the first round, a 97.1% vote over AJ Styles and Omos and the Usos. AJ and Omos got 2 votes. The Usos, no votes. Roman Reigns, 66. He wiped the floor with them. He also, for the second round, beat Bayley with the second highest amount of landslide victory of 91.7 instead of 97.1, funnily enough. But, Roman making sense here with this tournament the way that it is. I was a little bit shocked about the Adam Cole and Bayley thing. I knew it was going to be close, but I kind of thought that it wouldn't be as tight. I figured Bayley might win, but I don't know. That was just that was interesting because that ended up being, I think, the closest match out of everything. Oh no, it was the second closest match.
I think it makes sense. It's obviously Adam Cole is a very popular superstar, and obviously he's definitely in the heel alignment right now, so it makes sense that he would get a decent amount of votes. But Bayley just in general has been a stronger heel character throughout the last 18 months or so. Obviously she's off TV at the moment because of her injury, but it's one of those ones where I look at it and just feel like naturally I would just assume that Adam Cole get voted for because he's Adam Cole. But I appreciate the fact that people actually seem to have looked at that one and gone, actually Bayley is a better heel, so I'm going to vote for Bayley, and she won. So I'm good with that.
See, if Adam Cole would have laughed at Kyle O'Reilly, then apparently that would just been like a 3-month long feud.
Well, it was anyway, and there wasn't
even it's even longer than that at this point.
Yeah.
Seth Rollins had beaten Sami Zayn.
That makes sense.
I guess so. It does surprise me that Seth Rollins is getting a significant amount of votes just because he's a bit. I don't know. It's just the same. It's been the same guy for a year and a half or so now, and it's just. I know he's obviously building up the feud with Edge, and that's added a bit more intensity to it because the history they had a little while ago, when Edge was still injured. But yeah, he's just a guy that comes out in ridiculous suits now.
Yeah, for me, Rollins is too much of a character. I think he's good in that way, and he's definitely having fun. But I think he's too much of a character at this point, and not enough of the Seth Rollins that we had watched develop over the last 7-8 years.
Yeah, I honestly would have, and I think I did, vote Sami Zayn over Seth Rollins.
Yeah, that's a case of two people going against each other that, as Rob says, are more of the zany character type of heel.
Yeah.
And
I knew that neither would win the tournament too.
Yeah, they're very, very over the top. And the final one, you can tell by especially the timing of the tournament starting and stuff like that this happened before Karrion Kross debuted on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, because it's Karrion Kross and Scarlett together, and they lose to Bobby Lashley and MVP, which makes perfect sense, I think, because Kross and Scarlett, they're heels, but the heel act isn't super hot in my mind. I like them, but
it's cooled off significantly.
Even more so now. I mean, since this has happened, and since they lost to Lashley and MVP, I mean, you're talking ice cold at this point. But that wasn't a shocker to me.
No, I'm not surprised. Like Bobby Lashley and MVP have been a great act together, and from the transition, the more recent thing of like Bobby Lashley being with the women and the partying and all that other stuff. Now it's like the laser focused, almighty Bobby Lashley. I feel like that's helped just really hone in the heel side of things a bit more for them.
Yeah, I think Lashley and MVP, even before Kross was obliterated by the Monday Night Raw move, were a better act than Kross and Scarlett. Kross and Scarlett was a very cool entrance in a very uncertain time when we still thought, maybe this COVID thing will be over by SummerSlam and we'll be back on the Wednesday Night War. And, like the development of Kross through that time, he got injured, he came back, he was significantly cooled off at that point. And now he's on Raw and he's already entering forgettable territory.
So going into round 2, we had some tighter matches from some things, but nothing as close as the Adam Cole and Bayley thing, other than the thing that actually ends up being the closest call, which was in round 2, which was the Bobby Lashley and MVP against Seth Rollins one, which Rollins won. That, to me, that was a little bit of a shocker, because I thought Lashley and MVP makes more sense.
Yeah, I don't agree with the result of that one. I can understand why that result might have happened, but personally, I think that Bobby Lashley and MVP are a much stronger, more defined heel act, whereas Rollins has been, just middling around the mid card for quite a few months now, and he just doesn't feel like he's progressing anywhere. Whereas Bobby Lashley and MVP are top of the tree on Raw, so.
I definitely don't think that either one of these acts are as hot as they could be. But when given the choice, I would definitely say Lashley is a more threatening heel, whereas, again, Rollins is just a character. I think Rollins probably got the nod here because he seems more dastardly, whereas, remember, a lot of people were behind Lashley earlier this year because it was like, okay, we're finally giving him the belt and we're finally going to utilize him. So I think that's the difference. And that's probably why Rollins was voted in more as a heel.
And Roman Reigns wipes the floor with Bayley. Mentioned that before.
Not surprising.
No.
We got, on the AEW side of things, we already narrowed it down to MJF beats Miro and Dr. Britt Baker beats Kenny Omega. I was a little bit shocked about the Baker and Omega one, because at that point, Baker was kind of feuding with Nyla Rose, and she seemed like she was more babyface than Omega's flat out heel. Like, just, there was no debate about it. Baker, it was up for debate. But again, I guess people just were like, well, I like her character more or something, I
mean, listen, if you were watching the most recent episode of AEW Dynamite, you would probably say, well, she's clearly not a heel, because like she is getting this rave reaction in her hometown, and I just feel like her character work is excellent. It's on point. I think that she has done more good work as a heel leading up to her championship win, even though now that she has the championship, she's been a bit more of a tweener or someone that just reacts to whatever her opponent is. Maybe it's just the idea that Omega is a bit goofier than Britt Baker. And maybe it's just the fact that people like Britt Baker more. I think this is just a really good, positive affirmation that, keep this Britt Baker thing going. She's awesome.
I think, this comes down to people like Britt Baker more. And I think people are a little burnt out on Kenny. I think Kenny is great, obviously. But I don't know if he's translated as hot as like the New Japan run, let's say. And I think the Callis stuff definitely makes him a heel, but people still want to like Kenny. I think you have people that don't want to like this Kenny because he's being too goofy, and you have people that just don't like the character at all. Whereas Britt Baker, I think, is universally beloved.
I was actually going to say, it's odd that you didn't include Don Callis in this list as well.
He'd have gotten my vote. Like, Don Callis legitimately gets heat from me every time just because it's like, he's good at his job, even when you don't want to admit it.
Yeah, I don't remember why I didn't just put Callis. Can you guys hear the dog barking?
Yes, yep. we can.
That's going to be a thing going forward, everybody. I apologize for this. I've been muting for the past minute, yelling up at this dog to stop doing this. It's going to be a thing going forward. So
it's all good. The dog is getting heat.
I won't be able to edit these out. And
now
for future,
now the dog is the biggest heel on this podcast.
Yeah, for future podcasts, you're going to hear, because apparently, I guess somebody's walking out front, and fuck that person, they're a heel. Maybe it's Kyle Baylor who's walking out front.
Fucking Barry.
Yeah, goddamn elephant. So apologies for that, everybody, but that's going to be a thing going forward for a little bit. Don Callis, I don't remember why I didn't put him specifically on there. I guess I probably should have at least put him as alongside with Kenny Omega, and maybe that would have made the difference between the two, like with Bobby Lashley and MVP kind of deal. But
because he's a primo dick.
Yeah, that's as far as like heel acts in the company goes, he's definitely one of the most entertaining ones. That's another thing worth a discussion too. I don't know necessarily if people were voting on who do I hate the most or who am I the most fond of. I guess I mean, it wouldn't have mattered if I would have clarified. People would have voted the way that they wanted to anyway. But
well, I feel like to be an effective heel, you need to also be entertaining.
Yeah,
it's like in the past when I have had issues with Baron Corbin and stuff like that, it's been more about the fact that when I watch him, I don't want to boo him or I don't want to see him get beaten up. I want to change the channel. Whereas if you would get that sort of reaction. Whereas like MJF, I think MJF is so good at his job, and like he can piss you off when he does that stuff. But like I'm really, really entertained by what he does. And if anyone's saying like, "Oh, what do you think of MJF?" I'd say, "Oh, he's fucking awesome." I wouldn't say, "Oh, what a dick." But he's a great heel, and the same thing applies to Britt Baker, or to Kenny Omega, or to Roman, or Bobby Lashley MVP. Like they're people that at least keep you engaged with the program that you're watching.
Yeah, I agree with that.
MJF's great on Twitter too. He had a great thing the other day. I forget exactly when this happened, but somebody had tweeted out to him, why am I having a dream that we had sex together, to MJF? And he was like, because that's the only time it'll ever happen.
Got him.
Like, this dude's so good.
Well, Rob's fault is Raph first hand, so I guess he's probably to deal with that.
Like, he just straight up sending in super chats to say that my breath smells, and he's...
So he beats Miro, and he goes on in the bracket section finals to beat Dr. Britt Baker. MJF clarified as the top heel in AEW, and you couldn't have gone any other way, right?
No, he just suits it too well.
And those last four are great for AEW. Baker, Miro, Kenny, and MJF. Those are really where the company's at with heels.
Especially when you consider it's the women's champion, the world champion, the mid-card champion, and the other main heel,
of champions.
Yeah. So that's a really good indicator that AEW, good things are good, and
look, they did their job.
But where are all the strong baby faces to challenge them?
Oh, they got him in spades.
So I mean, if we would have
my WWE basement dweller,
we could have done a follow-up with some of those kind of things, and it would have been like, where are the strong baby faces? Oh, well, they'll be there once WWE fires.
Well, I don't think that Christian Cage is built quite big enough to challenge for the World Championship yet.
Oh, that's a real quick side note. People are already taking advantage of the fact that Christian Cage is even wrestling, and it's like, don't take that for granted. He couldn't wrestle just 7 months ago. Enjoy this.
Yeah, that's a discussion for another time too. We're getting to that when we get a little bit closer to All Out, but MJF winning the AEW side, not surprising at all. And Roman Reigns beating Seth Rollins to win the WWE side, not surprising at all.
We literally predicted this when we put the tournament together.
It was the MJF left and the Roman Reigns right, essentially.
Yeah, it's completely understandable why these two would be the top two ones at the end of it.
So it comes down to those two, the AEW winner and the WWE winner. And I honestly thought that was going to be closer than what it was. Because I think that MJF does such a good job that there's an argument for him being bigger and better of a heel than Roman Reigns. But, push comes to shove, the vote comes down to, with 77.1% of the votes, Roman Reigns wins.
This is where the vote comes down to. It's still WWE. More people still watch that. Roman Reigns is the top heel there. Roman Reigns is the top heel.
Yeah, I can kind of see that sort of that outlook as well. WWE is still the more prominent, preeminent name in this sort of thing. I would say that as a brand, Smark at the moment is more tuned towards WWE stuff as well.
Right.
So that might be influencing the fan base as well. And I feel like, Roman is the more established name out of the two of them. Give it a couple more years, maybe it will be a bit closer when AEW builds up a bit more prominence. MJF gets maybe a world title under his belt. But Roman he's not even just the top heel in the company, he's just the guy in that entire company right now. So it doesn't surprise me that he would win this one. I mean, MJF is the only person out of the top four that wasn't a champion, and he got pushed through to the final. And I think like he will get there. It just give it a bit more time.
I'd love to just revisit this particular match next year and see where people are at with Roman and where AEW is at as a whole and how that pushes MJF ahead.
If we do this again next year, which we might think of other ideas, we might do something different, I don't know. But it'd be interesting, even if it doesn't work out to be MJF versus Roman Reigns in the final, that it would be cool to just add that poll and just be like, hey, look, last year it was these two. What do you think between those two? And do that, because no harm in adding an extra little vote to that. I did ask, though, if anybody had any ideas of what we could do for next year's tournament. And unfortunately, I don't think people have quite understood the idea. To be fair, I didn't fully explain it too much on that particular question, but I asked what other hot or heat or something along those lines related tournaments should we do for next year? And we've got best entrance for finisher, best non-American wrestlers, best WWE champion, best title belt design. Somebody just said Roman Reigns. The Roman Reigns tournament. So I don't think that people quite understood that or whatever, but somebody did say hottest faces of wrestling. So I'm assuming that could be, the opposite side of things, which baby faces are the ones that get the biggest heat from the crowd of just, that the fan support instead of the fan, vitriol.
Yeah.
And I thought about, what, like maybe that would be kind of interesting to do. I also didn't put it in here, but I thought about it. Maybe just best heels of all time.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Heat of the moment. The whole point was supposed to be the moment, but I mean, who fucking cares? I mean, like, you can play around with it. It's just a name. So next year, maybe we do best heels of all time, just period. We could talk about people like Ted DiBiase and Roddy Piper. We could talk about, The Rock when he was a heel, and we can talk about heel CM Punk. We could talk about, again, MJF back into the discussion again, so on and so forth.
Vince McMahon and
Vince McMahon, yeah,
Ric Flair.
There's tons of great heels that would be really interesting to see, like, when push comes to shove, who do you vote for between a Ric Flair and a Vince McMahon?
Well, I know who would win the biggest heel of all time.
Yeah.
John Cena.
I mean, he did do that one heel turn that one time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if we would switch it up for the hottest faces of wrestling for next year or whatever, then Jinder would clearly win that.
I feel like Jinder's turning babyface every week, according to Tony.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he is the big show of the Smark Out moment jokes. Where, hey, what happened on that? Jinder Mahal turned babyface. Even when he was babyface for a little bit, that was still the joke. Just he turned babyface while babyface. So, I mean, maybe we do the babyface things. Maybe we do heels of all time. Maybe we just revisit again the actual heels of the moment. Maybe we do something completely unrelated. Maybe we go with like I don't know. I can't even think of something that would go like necessarily heat related, but like I don't know, best Inferno matches or I don't know, whatever the hell. You can play around with it.
There's only 4 to choose from.
A short tournament, right?
Yeah, I think there's only like 4 or 5, and Kane's been in all of them.
Has he been in all?
Yep.
Yeah, he's been in every single Inferno or Ring of Fire match, except like
Bray Wyatt, MJF, MVP, Undertaker,
and so it's Bray Wyatt, MVP, The Undertaker, and Triple H.
Wow, that's it, huh?
Yeah.
So then
we could do the.
No, I didn't even think about the Triple H thing. I don't even remember that.
That was on a ridiculous.
It was on SmackDown, I believe.
Yeah, it was a ridiculous episode of SmackDown where Triple H wrestled 5 times.
Did he win all 5 matches?
No, he won 3 out of the 5 matches. There was again, this is like a massive tangent. People don't really need to know this stupid wrestling history type of bullshit, but it was a stipulation.
This is my gimmick, by the way. But go ahead.
It was a stipulation where Triple H had to win 3 out of the 5 matches in order to get into a World Championship match. The following pay-per-view, I think it was Unforgiven or something, maybe Fully Loaded or whatever it ended up being. But he ended up fighting a handicap match against Viscera Midian, the Inferno match against Kane. He had a Boiler Room Brawl, I think, with Mankind. And I'm trying to remember the other ones. I know the final match he had was
wasn't it a chokeslam match with Big Show?
Oh yeah, he had a chokeslam match with the Big Show, but the winner had to be the person that hit a chokeslam.
I mean, bet you can't guess who won that match.
Triple H, no. Big Show didn't win that one. The final match he had was a Brahma bull rope match with The Rock.
Right. Yes.
Which yeah, and that led to a stupid 6-pack challenge match for the WWF title, which Triple H also won. Which featured who was in it? It was
Bulldog.
It was Bulldog, Rock, Kane, Big Show, Mankind, and Triple H. Super fun wrestling history from all the way back in 1999.
Now, if you want us to watch Unforgiven 99, which not only features that, but also features the legendary Kennel from Hell match. That's why the Pick Your Poison tier exists.
Right, Dog days, right? Yeah, I mean, that's an option. There's always options for those kind of things. And if you want us to dive deeper into the heel side of things and you want us to do some kind of mini tournament, I mean, one of the things we haven't done yet this year that was kind of on the back burner of, hey, maybe we'll do this at some point, is what's called Quick Turnaround, which is a tournament in one podcast, a full tournament where it's the 3 of us. So we do the whole, like, I vote for this one, I vote for this one. Okay, tiebreaker is the other person's vote, that kind of deal. Like what we've done with Mount Rushmore and Top Rope List and everything that we've, with the trifecta kind of voting system. And we could do like mini tournaments for different things like that. I don't know how we would do a mini Roman Reigns tournament for that suggestion of just Roman Reigns next year. Just do that. But, options, if you think of any kind of things like that, then let us know, and we'll factor that all in.
You know what you need to be factoring in? Your grooming for below the belt. That's what you people need to be factoring in, because it is the dog days of summer, and it is hot, and, honestly, it gets a little messy down there, and ball soup is no fun, and that's why we have our good friends at Manscaped, right, Tony?
We do. This episode is brought to you by our sponsors over at manscaped.com, which you can check out, and you can see all the different products that they have there to make sure that all this heat of the moment does not give you swamp ass and everything else that's going down below. You can check out their different products over there. And when you do buy anything, make sure to use the promo code SMARK, SMARK, and you will get 20% off and free shipping on your order, no matter what the order is. So maybe you are just more focused on the deodorant side of things. Maybe you just want to pick up a pair of boxers that are comfortable or a t-shirt that's comfortable. You can do that. You can go all over the place here with the orders, and if you use that promo code, it will apply. They've got advanced skin safe technology to make sure that you're not getting chafed with anything, you're not getting cut with anything. They got their lawnmower 4.0, they've got their weed whacker, so the way that everything's growing these days and you need to trim that's the best tool for you to be able to do that. We've been promoting them for a couple months now. We've been trying their products out. At this point, we've tried almost every single one of their products out, and they get the thumbs up from us. At least 2 thumbs up. There's some other jokes there that we can get into, but that's a different story for another day. But the Manscaped stuff is something that you should definitely take advantage of while you can. So act now. Use that promo code SMARK. Get 20% off. Get your free shipping. Any other thoughts on the Manscaped side of things, guys? About anything happening recently? You've been diving deep into the foot deodorant or something? I don't know.
Well, that's what I was actually going to bring up. Is that the idea of if you definitely wanted to, based on the concept of this podcast, if you want to look after your heels, see, the foot duster is the way to go. A bit of a food deodorant to get rid of the funk from. Because we know walking around all day, your feet are gonna sweat up, your feet are gonna stink. But deodorant really helps clear that. Just proactive sweat defense. It's just neutralizes all odors and stuff like that. It's really just a nice way to just come back and not have that just immediate whiff as soon as you take the shoes off at the end of a hard day.
Similarly, they got the ball deodorant, and that keeps everything balanced there too, because you don't want to stink down there. You don't want anything to really be messing up what you could be having a good time with this summer. And let's be honest, summer's coming to a close, so you got to get in all the action while you can, and Manscaped's here to help you do that.
So if you want to do that, go on over to manscaped.com, check out the different products that they have there, pick up a performance package, and try a bunch of the different products all in one shot, and use the promo code SMARK, 20% off and free shipping. That's a great deal. Take advantage of it. So thank you to Manscaped for sponsoring this episode. Thank you for sending us all those products that we've been trying out to be able to tell people to do this kind of stuff. And I want to actually go on a completely different side tangent here. We're on tangents for the sake of it. We ran through this tournament thing pretty quickly. We're going to give you guys a little bit more content. So why the fuck not, right? I'm going to tell you guys something funny that happened the other day. This is pro wrestling related. I'm not just going to get into like snack talk or something. And it's not necessarily heel related, but it is in some fashion. I guess you can kind of twist it around. I don't remember what sparked the conversation, but I casually said to Caroline, because sometimes I forget how not everybody's in the same bubble that we are for different things. So somebody had said something weird on a TV show or whatever, and I said, "Oh my God, they sound like they're cutting an Ultimate Warrior promo." And she was like, "Which one's he?" So I started explaining Ultimate Warrior to Caroline, and her eyes lit up as like, "What the fuck are you explaining to me?" So I showed her.
Did you mention the Santa rape? Did you mention the Santa rape?
I got into some of this side of things, and I showed her some promos, and she lost it laughing at Ultimate Warrior. She was like, "He is now my favorite because this guy's insane." And like in particular, the thing that got her was she's like, "Why is he turning around all the time? He's not looking at the camera. He's just like facing the opposite direction, just going, oh, Hogan." Just everything. She lost it, laughing hysterically at him. I've already joked that I'm going to do that for our wedding vows. Obviously, I'm not going to, but I was like, imagine if I were to do that, just like, kind of pull out a piece of paper with a bunch of nice words on it, and they just start turning around going like, "From the heavens, they call down and they tell you to get run over by lawnmowers." That's part of his promo. He talks about, would you want to get run over by a lawnmower?
Yeah, well, I believe he said he was training. That's how he trained. He laid down on the lawn and let them run over him with lawnmowers.
Which you don't got to worry about when it comes to Manscaped. The lawnmower isn't going to...
It's got skin-safe technology.
It's not going to kill you like that.
Well, I'm just to be fair, when you said you might incorporate some of that stuff into your vows, stuff like that, I just imagine you standing there with a piece of paper and they're just going, "Queering does not make the world work."
That's an entirely different type of heel heat in the real life side of things. But I
love Barry. Every time I get a chance to bury this guy, it's just like, oh, I've never been more glad that someone's dead.
I figured I'd share that story though because it's fun to get that outsider's perspective about some of those things, and even though it has completely nothing to do with the heat of the moment tournament in that regard, we could have talked about it on the hot tags, but I felt like talking about it here. There you go.
That's so yeah, that works.
Where does Ultimate Warrior rank on the best heels of all time for your list?
I mean, it depends. I guess when he in the early days when you don't know too much about it, and then it's it certainly wouldn't be that big of a heel. Then you just see the guy in real life. The guy in real life is super high up on that list. But yeah, he can't hurt anyone anymore, so that's fine.
Yeah. So I don't know. That was just a little side tangent I wanted to talk about. Not just to give you guys a little bit of extra content, but it's something kind of funny. And I don't know. Anything else you guys want to talk about when it comes to this tournament? I think we ran through pretty much everything. I talked about the biggest landslides, the biggest surprises. Nothing else that I got.
I think at the end of the day, this is going to stand as a test of how important good booking is. Because why did Roman make it to the top? Because he's one of the only characters that this company cares about it and is being booked properly. AEW's list went flawlessly because they book properly. I think booking matters, and this tournament shows that. Yeah,
I feel like I was quite pleased just how this tournament's gone, because even though I feel like the final two were pretty much foregone conclusions, there were some nice results in there as well, and it was good to see Britt Baker do well and Bayley do well to the level they got up to and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it went particularly well. I'd be happy to do either this or a more comprehensive heel list next year around. Yeah, I don't really have too much to add because I just feel like the result is what I would imagine it to be. And as Rob says, yeah, these are well booked heels, and realistically, the WWE side bracket was probably weaker than the AEW one, just from my own perspective because of the way they've been booked. But yeah. And actually, to be fair, maybe there's one thing that was missing from this tournament is that there was absolutely no mention of Brandy Rhodes' heels.
That's a different kind of heels, and that's.
CM Punk's got another thing with heels as well.
That's true. On Stars.
That comes out soon, doesn't it?
This weekend.
Yeah, apparently he's going to be at a AMC theater on the 20th of. August, checking
it's
that
in
stuff
Chicago.
out.
Is anything else in Chicago on August 20th?
Nothing.
No. Okay.
Maybe an indie show. Yeah, so I mean, we'll probably check out heels and maybe do some kind of at least a Darkcast review. Maybe incorporate that into some future hot tags or something. The show, I mean, not the Brandy Rhodes thing. Is that actually still even promoted?
Yes, they still do that.
Well, good for them when it comes to that. I don't know. Not something I'm tracking. But you should be tracking everything that's happening here on smarkatmoment.com. So follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Check out all the things that are happening on the channel and on the website. Obviously, go over to fanboysanonymous.com as well. Do the same kind of things over on that website for some movie review content and some different commentary tracks and everything. We haven't been doing as much as we've been wanting to do just from the past couple of weeks with the stuff going on and whatever. But we're going to try to get back into that a little bit. Pretty soon, we're going to have some kind of a discussion on reviewing Loki and talking about Marvel's What If and breaking down some thoughts on Suicide Squad, maybe doing a fan tracks for that. We already watched the movie, so I don't know if we'll do a fan tracks or if we'll just kind of do some kind of incorporate that in the review. But we're going to try to watch Jungle Cruise do some kind of thing about that. We got Batman the Long Halloween Part 2. I'm checking out Free Guy in an hour at this point from when we're recording, which that's going to be fun to try to edit this and get that up in time and everything. But I'll be doing some kind of maybe a movie review point. Maybe I'll just write something up. I'm not too sure, but we got the Review to a Kill series about the James Bond franchise and plenty of other kind of content for you over on Fanboys. I want to get more into like some video game stuff because I actually just got a Switch. Carolina and I got a Switch.
Very excited for you.
That's going to be something fun to get into a little bit down the line. I'll probably put out like my friend code if people are interested. I don't know. We'll see. But if you want more content on Fanboys, if you want more content on Smark Out Moment, the Patreon accounts are the best way to do that. Like, follow, share, favorite, subscribe, do all that kind of good stuff. Do the same things for the TeePublic and Redbubble shops. Pick up some t-shirts and some other merchandise. That's a great way to keep things going too. Follow us on our own particular things as well. I'm at Tony Mango. You can follow everything under a mango tree and check out the other stuff that I got going on. You can follow what these guys have going on their social medias, and there are other avenues and everything. Like Callum's over there at Wigmeister14.
Yep, you can check me out at Wigmeister14 on Twitter, pretty much exclusively. Other than that, make sure you are checking out smarkamoment.com, as Tony said, checking out all the articles on there, including the power rankings, my weekly contribution. You can also keep up with stuff involving the Fantasy League as well, which is reaching another important crossroads when we reach SummerSlam, and a few bits and pieces change there. Some teams will be switched up. Some big points will be won and lost by people because the pay-per-views always end up with like the biggest score. So follow that along as well. And yeah, if you're so inclined to check out, delved a little bit into some sort of wrestling history here, just some random tidbits. But if you are more interested in more general or more comprehensive wrestling history, then you should check out either 2001 A Wrestling Odyssey or the Paul Heyman SmackDown podcast over in the Smark Out Moment archives. And there might be more of that stuff coming soon. But for now, I will pass you over to Robert DeFelice.
Yeah, and if you like professional wrestling, then the one website you need to be checking out is Fightful.com, and especially Fightful Select, which is now the most subscribed to Patreon in all of wrestling. And I think that that's amazing, and kudos to Sean Ross Sapp for all that he does. So check out Fightful and Fightful Select. Check me out on all the social media platforms at Dude Felice. And as always, thank you for your support.
Yes, thank you for listening to this podcast, everybody. Thank you for whatever you do to help us out, whether it is on the monetary side of things, or it's just leaving a comment, or it's, sometimes I get like a little bit of feedback on like an email thing, and people just going like, hey, I donated to the Patreon because I'm really into, the podcast, and like I, recently got one of those that really kind of made my day and everything. So your support means a lot, and your continued viewership and reads and everything that goes along with that is just awesome. Makes you awesome. And everybody wants to be awesome. So thank you again for listening to this. Thank you for taking part of the Heat of the Moment tournament. And we will see you next time around with most likely the hot tags, but I don't know, maybe something else pops up in the meantime. But just stay tuned, and we will see you when we see you, everybody. That's going to do us in for this edition. This has been another Smark Out Moment, and we're being counted out.